By the time of this recording, I've played through Final Fantasy 15 episode Ardyn twice now. I mainly played it twice just because I thought about streaming it last night, but I really couldn't wait, so I started playing it. But then I had work and I didn't want to just start streaming halfway through the DLC, so I ended up just finishing on PS4 on my own time, where I got a lot of the footage for this video, and then I went and streamed the entire DLC again last night, but this time on PC. And I've got to say, it was incredible. It really was. As you can tell, this is another non-scripted video, so again, I'm sorry for those of you guys that wanted something a little bit more formal, but I have a lot of different feelings and emotions going on towards episode Ardyn that I wanted just to get out a sheet of paper and just paint kind of thing. But I just really felt that this is the best batch of DLC that Square Enix has released for Final Fantasy 15. I thought something couldn't top episode Ignis because I really liked episode Ignis. Now, pretty much back in episode Ignis, we kind of got a bit of future sight into who it was that caused everything to spiral out of control for Ardyn, and this pretty much confirmed it completely. Here in episode Ardyn, we got to find out that it was actually his brother Somnus who actually took the throne when it was supposed to be Ardyn's, and caused him to lose 2,000 years of his entire life. And now he ended up building up a whole kingdom and a whole nother line, like many generations later, and Ardyn just has to be okay with it. It just really painted another picture of Ardyn, in my opinion. When you're playing the base game of Final Fantasy 15, that was one of the biggest things I felt was a downside, as I pay really close attention when it comes to villains in a video game. I've always been, I guess, a sort of villain aficionado, while at the same time, I'm kind of a bit lax with them at the same time. I don't need anything uber complicated in order for me to feel like I really enjoy the villain. I mean, I'm a Zelda fan. I really just enjoy my villain being evil just for the sake of being evil. But I'm also not opposed to you giving me a really big reason to hate my villain. But I felt like this DLC kind of gave me a new insight on who Ardyn really was and why he did the things he did during Final Fantasy 15. In a sense, it kind of makes me feel the way I did when watching and when I read Death Note, to where you are playing and you're reading or you're watching Ardyn, who is technically a bad guy, but because he's the main character and you've been with him this entire journey, it makes you feel like, I know he's a bad guy and all, but I get what he's saying. Yeah, he's bad and I know he shouldn't win, but why do I feel so sad that he lost? And that's kind of how I felt about episode Ardyn, to where no matter what ending you get, because I know there's the real ending and the alternate twisted ending, which I actually did get on stream too, mainly because I was a little scared to do it, but I really wanted to see what the differences were between the two, because I guess I was satisfied with the regular ending where Ardyn just accepts what Bahamut says, that pretty much everything you're gonna do is gonna lead up to you and Noctis fighting, and him killing you and him dying, and that means you get your revenge. To where Ardyn, this whole time, his entire life, he thought he was supposed to be the savior, but in actuality he's just supposed to be the sacrificial lamb to the savior. And I felt like that was so freaking powerful to me, to where, do you know what it means for this to be someone's fate? To where no matter what you wanted to do with your life, just as Bahamut said, you can't change your fate. No matter what you do, that's still going to come to pass. And no matter what Ardyn would do, whether you chose to resist your fate or submit, it still is going to lead to the same outcome. And I felt that really just hit me. At first I felt a little conflicted with it. At first I felt like it was more of a cop-out, feeling that, wow, they didn't really want to give me a complete alternate ending that doesn't, that really affects Final Fantasy 15 to where the ending of 15 wouldn't have been the same. But at the same time, it's kind of expected when seeing the other DLC as well. It makes me just feel, wow, this is really enforcing your point like to the T. No matter what you do, what you say is still going to lead you to the same outcome. I thought it was a pretty messed up to have Aera just stabbing Ardyn repeatedly, especially knowing he's not gonna die from that. But it just really hurt me in a lot of different ways too, and it made me really hate Somnus. Of course, it makes you really think back to Final Fantasy 15, feeling like, okay, well, Ardyn's the bad guy, and we were always playing the game through Noctis and his friends' perspective, to where no matter what you say, Ardyn's the bad guy. He's trying to destroy this kingdom, and at the end of the day, yeah, that's wrong. We gotta stop him from doing that. But when it really thinks so, I can't really blame him for wanting to do that. It makes you really question what's right and what's wrong, and what's okay to let slide and what not to. Because without a shadow of a doubt, what Somnus did to Ardyn was wrong. It was dead wrong. He wasn't even supposed to be on the throne. But at the same time, the way Ardyn was trying to get his revenge was also wrong. But I mean, 2,000 years will do that to a guy. But at the same time, it's like, again, no one knows what Somnus did. And I really didn't like how Ardyn really didn't just tell someone. Obviously, they know who he is. I mean, they should know. They're the Lucis line. It's been a big secret between that royal family that whole time. They know about that. And I just didn't really like how he didn't explain that. And I didn't like how Regis passed out at the end of the fight, so he couldn't witness, what really happened and hear the conversation during the fight between Somnus and Ardyn. But I guess it kind of makes sense, because not like Regis was in 15 much anyway, but there were years in between there. It would have been cool to be able to see Regis accept that Somnus did wrong and try to atone for what Somnus did back then. And of course, yeah, he may not be Somnus, so Regis isn't a bad guy either, but he comes from a tainted bloodline. Like, their line should not have been royalty. It should have been Ardyn's line. And it wasn't fair for Ardyn to lose his loved one and not be able to live the life he wanted to, and now is shunned and sought as a monster to everybody. And I just felt that really reinforces character to me. And it's not often to where I feel 2 hours can really change how you think of a character. And if you just play the base game of Final Fantasy 15, I was really disappointed that of my villain, they didn't really give him any backstory whatsoever. Like, even in Zelda, they give, you some type of backstory as to why he's evil, or at least what he's really trying to do. Like, but all we really know is that Ardyn was trying to get revenge on Noctis's family. That's all we really know from the base game, but we don't really have a detailed explanation why. I felt like that should have been in the base game, but I really do feel like it did work better as DLC, because taking 2 hours of the game away from Noctis, I felt would have been too dramatic during Final Fantasy 15. So I felt like the DLC would have been a bit better, because I know a lot of people bring up the argument to where, okay, well, some of these DLCs, episode Ignis, Prompto, and Gladio could have all three of them could have been in the actual base game. And I'm not saying I necessarily disagree with that, but again, they all kind of ended up being around the same time, because they all ended up can be around. If you just go through the general story of the DLCs, you'll end up getting around 2 hours for each one, unless you're trying to 100% like say get all the treasure chests and buy out everything in the stores and stuff like that. Then it'll probably take you maybe 5 hours or so. But generally, most people aren't going to go for 100% with these DLCs, so expect around 2 hours if you choose to pick up episode Ardyn or Ignis or Prompto or Gladio for yourself. I highly recommend, if you guys are going to play, to either play on a PS4 Pro or to play on the PC version, as a lot of the footage that you guys see from this video are from those two versions. As you can see, the PS4 version, when it looks a little bit 30 FPS, it really did dip quite a bit during the high action sequences, especially when Ifrit was on screen doing a lot of his fire moves. It really did drop some frames there, which is kind of be expected. But even on light setting that was supposed to improve the frame rate, even on my PS4 Pro, still did struggle with those scenes. While there was really minor frame drops maybe right after a loading screen on the PC version, the whole general combat of Final Fantasy 15 episode Ardyn was very good. I had straight 60. I had VSync off. It was actually pretty over 60, around maybe 70 something the entire time, no matter what was on screen. So I really did enjoy that. So if you have a beefy enough PC, or if you want to go on candyrant.com, I highly recommend you pick up episode Ardyn on the PC version. I definitely do think it's the definitive version. But with that, this is the conclusion to Final Fantasy 15, and that really hurts me. It hurts me, but it makes me happy at the same time. I'm relieved that we can finally conclude this story. We know what we need to know. The writers have finally released everything they want to know. I mean, I know that the book is still going to be coming out. I don't think we have a set date when it's going to be coming to the West, but I'm definitely going to be reading that just because I want to know what was in Aranea, Luna, and etc. The other DLCs that were canceled for Season 2 Dawn of the Future for Final Fantasy 15. But it is a little bit saddened that we don't actually get to play that, but I'm still glad I get to at least see the general story of Dawn of the Future. I definitely think episode Ardyn was a good conclusion. If you were gonna have to be able to play any of one of the DLCs of Dawn of the Future, I'm glad it was Ardyn, just because I relate really well with a character that's a villain. It makes me feel like, okay, I'm glad I can understand one of the most important characters of this game. Aranea is important too, and I really felt it would have been really cool to be able to play as her and get to know a little bit more about her, because we still don't really know anything about her. I still felt that I still wouldn't have chose her if I got to choose one, just because, again, Ardyn's the main villain, and I felt that was a little bit more important than Aranea. But let me know what you guys think. Did you guys play episode Ardyn? And if so, or if not, did you enjoy it, or do you plan on picking it up? It is only $9 no matter where you end up getting it from, which is like twice as much as actually the other DLCs, which is kind of annoying. But honestly, for 2 to 5 hours worth of enjoyment with really good story, the best combat in all of Final Fantasy 15, it just really blew everything out of the park. All the different combos and descension gauge, especially in comparison to Noctis' Ascension. It was really cool being able to upgrade Ardyn and get more moves for Ifrit during fights. It just really made Ardyn feel like, just like they describe him as, a monster. It really did make him feel like that, especially when you can demon file like the enemies and everything like that and rip AP from them. I felt like that was awesome, just shoving people's faces in the ground or slicing them up into the air and just grabbing them by the neck and turn them into demons. It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. Like, I felt unstoppable when I was Ardyn, and I felt like that was something I really needed to feel, just because he fights like a really OP version of Noctis, and I really do like that, just because Ignis, Prompto, and Gladio, they've played really different in Noctis, which is why I enjoy their DLC, but I really do like how Noctis played the most, I'd say, just because it's really cool being able to do all that he can do. But wow, Ardyn is definitely my favorite playable character in all of Final Fantasy 15. But I'm glad the universe is now coming to a close in terms of games. Dawn of the Future, I'll probably have a video about that when that book comes out and everything. And after I finish it, I'll probably give my thoughts and how I feel about that. But again, if you guys played episode Ardyn, definitely let me know how you feel about it in the comment section down below, or if you watched something of it on YouTube, or if you came out to my stream last night. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sorry this was another non-scripted video, but I really felt good being able to get my thoughts out about episode Ardyn, and I hope you guys did enjoy. If so, or if not, let me know down in the comment section down below. And if you want to see more videos about Final Fantasy, definitely hit that like button for me, and hitting the bell after subscribing will make sure you never miss another YouTube video again. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is KingdomAce, and remember, my loyal knights, to always fly skyward.